ESPN's College Football Primetime is broadcast in high definition and presented by Pioneer Plasma Displays. It's already been a really busy day at the Metrodome. Baseball first, 11 a.m. Central, the White Sox and the Twins. The White Sox win at 6-3. The game ended around 1:30 Central Time. 46,000 fans left this building, and then a crew of 100 changed the field from a baseball diamond to tonight's football service. And our crew had to do exactly the same thing. Holly Rose down on the sidelines. Holly, it's quite an operation.
Well, it is, and you'll actually notice some unique things to the field tonight. I'm standing on home plate. It's the skinned area. There is a slight lip, and in the field of play are first and second bases. Guys, I talked to the Minnesota receiver, Logan Payne, before the game and asked him, how will this affect the team? He said, hey, we played on this field just like this for spring football, so he doesn't think it's a problem. I didn't see Michigan, however, warm up on this side of the field. They spent the entire warm-ups on the other end, so none of their players have tested out how this dirt and grass lip will affect them during the course of play. We'll keep our eye on it.
All right, Holly, and almost inevitably, if there's a seam somewhere, somebody's going to hit it. There is Joe Mauer, the Twins catcher. They are 1/2 game behind Detroit. Detroit playing tonight in a rain delay, and there's the condition of the field Holly was talking about, Todd.
You know, and quite honestly, it really doesn't come into play in your normal play situations. Where it does come into play is in kicking situations, field goal kicking situations if you're on that area, and also if a quarterback is dropping back to pass off the turf into the dirt, it might be a little slicker than the actual turf surface. But for the most part, I don't think it's a big issue.
This series between these two schools, as you might imagine, has been dominated by Michigan. You see, they won 33 of the last 36. But Minnesota won it a year ago, and it's the 95th meeting since they started playing each other in 1892. And Michigan is the oldest football program outside of the Northeast in all of college football.
Well, right away, we see one of the important keys for Minnesota in this game, their ability to cover kicks. Stevie Breaston, the senior, is one of the premier return guys in the country. Most people have not been kicking it to him on kickoff situations. A little harder to avoid him in the punt return situation. Let's see how Minnesota approaches it on the opening kickoff.
Joel Monroe, who is very good on kickoffs, has several touchbacks this year. Will they go for the deep one, go for a squib, pooch? How are they going to play it against Preston?
I think if they can, they'll try to drill this thing up into the student section.
Monroe, a 5'11", 190-pound sophomore. Got all of it and drove Preston 4 yards deep. They'll keep it there.
Well, Michigan offensively, when they are moving, it's Chad Henne playing with a lot of confidence. His third year as a starter. Mike Hart, he's the heart and soul of this Michigan offense. They want to run the football first. He leads the Big Ten, and Mario Manningham has become the go-to guy. Every third time he touches the ball, he scores with it, and most of those have been of the long-distance variety.
Chad Henne starting his 29th straight ball game for Michigan. He is 20-8 as a starter, averaging a school record 212 yards passing a game, and they've had some good ones. Hart is the tailback.
Time will be kept on the field.
We've already lost the scoreboard.
Well, you know, the clock is supposed to start when foot hits the ball instead of when it's caught by the returner, and no time ran off, so obviously there is a problem.
Well, obviously they don't use it for baseball. So nobody checked it out,
There is no clock in baseball.
No, there isn't. So the clock will be kept on the field, and we'll update you as often as we can. Hart 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage as the single setback, and he'll get the carry. Off the left side, and Hart will drive for nearly 10 yards before he is taken out of bounds by Jamal Harris. One reason Michigan offense has improved this year is the experience they have up front, including the tight end. 5 of these 6 guys are seniors, and they know how to get it done.
And Jake Long, I'll tell you what, he's about as good an offensive lineman as you'll see anywhere in college football. He was a right tackle last year, playing left tackle this year, and he is a dominant run-blocking guy over there on the left side. Big number 77.
He was elected as a captain and said it was one of the greatest honors he could ever imagine to be the offensive captain of the Michigan football team. Two tight ends are in on this formation. Two wideouts and a single setback. Again, it's Hart. And again, Hart will get the ball in a gaping hole. Nice cut. Hart picks up 10 on his first carry, 12 on his second. Both first down runs, and here goes that big-time running game.
Well, Michigan has changed their approach. New coordinator Mike DeBoard is a zone running offensive team. The first play was an outside zone. This was inside, and that gives the back the ability to cut back. The two tight ends, you seal the backside, and you give that back the ability to either go front side or backside.
And the big wide receiver, Mario Manningham, got him a good block. Again, Hart straight up the middle, this time contained for only about 5 yards. If that's going to be his worst carry of the night, they're in good shape. Minnesota needs great play up front and from its linebackers. Sherrills and Shevlin are the two top tacklers on this team, but they can't be making tackles 10 yards past the line of scrimmage.
They are an undersized defense compared to this Michigan offensive line. Therefore, it's very critical for them to play with great technique and play with great leverage against this Michigan running game.
Kevin Grady will come in at tailback. Much heralded sophomore. And he'll get a carry. Dances to the outside, stood up and pushed back. Gained maybe a yard.
The good news for the Minnesota defense, I mean, they still have to execute and they still have to make tackles and be physical. But they're used to going against zone blocking because that is what Minnesota offensively has done so well under Glenn Mason. They are a zone blocking offensive team, so all through summer, all through spring, they're used to seeing a lot of zone blocking techniques. But seeing it and defeating it are two different things.
Yes, they are. 3rd and 3. Hart. Nice seal on the left side, and Hart will get the first down. That was the tight end Mike Massey who just walled off that left side, and Hart could go anywhere he wanted out there.
Yeah, that was a great block by Massey. Lloyd Carr made some changes in his staff. He said he looked at everything in his program at the end of the year, which a good head coach would do. 7-5, not up to Michigan standards. He knows that above anybody else. Looked at everything in the program, brought in 2 new offensive coordinators, had 2 guys go to the NFL. Thought his team was heavy at the end of the year, got everybody to buy into losing weight, being more athletic. So far, they are off to a tremendous start.
5 straight runs to start the ball game, 39 yards. This is number 6. Hart has the outside again.
83 is just destroying the right side of the Minnesota defense. Mike Massey, 6'4", 234-pound tight end, a junior out of Brecksville, Ohio. Watch him just seal this outside. I mean, that's an easy run for Mike Hart because the tight end is getting great position and not allowing the Minnesota defense to get outside and maintain outside position.
Willie Vandesteeg, number 91, is just making it too easy for him. He's got to keep contained over there. Now Grady is back in at tailback. Bobbled on the snap. Henne with time, throws sideline, and was it in?
Boy.
It was complete. Breaston a gain of 17. Breaston has been the short guy this year, only averaging 10 yards a catch.
He's had some trouble hanging onto the ball, but the coaches said he had a great week of practice this week catching the football. You see Henne look to his right where Manningham was and nobody around Breaston over on the left sideline. Watch that defense flow to the Manningham side, and Breaston left all alone on the left sideline.
Boy, and a play fake kept the linebackers within about 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. They had no chance to get back and help. Hart comes back in. This is textbook so far. Nice cutback by Hart. And then good close by Dion Hightower to make the tackle and save a bigger gain.
We talked about for Minnesota, Number one, they have to be able to be strong against the run. They've got to do whatever they have to do to defend the run. Now, that might mean they've got to go to some single coverage outside and bring an extra defender in there to play against the run. That's not ideal against a guy like Mario Manningham, but they cannot allow Michigan to just run the football up and down the field tonight.
No, this will get ugly early if they don't take a chunk out of this. Hard again. Penetration in the backfield coming up from the corner. Tremaine Banks, the 4-year starter at the outside corner, or the boundary corner rather, and he just came up and drilled him.
Yeah,
and
nice.
that's what you were just talking about. You got to do something different.
There's number 4, Tremaine Banks, on a corner blitz, and it kind of surprised Adrian Arrington, the receiver out there. I'm not sure he knew what to do when that corner crossed his face. A good call by defensive coordinator David Lockwood to change up that defensive scheme.
But whatever he did, it wasn't the right thing. It's 3rd and 10. Passing down, you would think, for Henne, who was changing the play. Manningham is to the far side. They throw back the other way. Touchdown, Arrington. He easily beat Dominic Jones, and Henne was right on the money.
Yep. He's got a great arm. I mean, I was watching him before the game, just even in warm-ups. I mean, that ball really comes out of his hands quickly. Great velocity. And he's using his eyes. I mean, that's when you see a quarterback getting more mature. In this drive, a couple times already, he has used his eyes. That time looked left and threw right. Before, he looked right and threw left.
Garrett Rivas for the point after. And Michigan takes the opening drive and is literally almost not slowed down on the way to the other end zone. They score on the opening possession. They're up 7-0. Michigan draws first blood, 7-0 here in Minneapolis. You get the feeling if the field was 300 yards long and they scored anyway?
Yeah, that looked way too easy for the Michigan offense. They struggled a little bit last week against Wisconsin at times. Boy, they didn't struggle on that possession.
Dominic Jones, DJ, is deep. He's number 2 in the country in kickoff returns. Taken on the second bounce off his own teammate's hands. Cut, lost his footing a little bit and went down at the 23-yard line. Todd, what happened on that touchdown pass?
Well, it's again a quarterback maturity. Okay, over here is Manningham. So you're going to see as Chad Henne goes back, his eyes are looking this way. Now watch what happens to the safety just from that little look over. Right there, the safety is reading his eyes and not able to get back and make the play. That was DJ Jones, the heart and soul of that Minnesota defense, but the eyes of Chad Henne fooled him.
First play is a pass complete for a first down up to the 37-yard line, and it's Ernie Wheelwright with the catch from Cupido.
Wheelwright getting up slowly, wants to come out of the ball game, and they need him in the ball game.
That's his 7th catch. Cupido tied for 2nd all-time in career touchdown passes at Minnesota with 40. Number 3 all-time in yards. The coaching staff says he has to play great for them to have a chance to win. And Penix is just swallowed up by that defense.
Well, Minnesota, when they have the football, they're impact players. Ryan Cupido, 5th-year senior. Good decision makers, got to throw the ball well. Amir Penix made his first start last week, 174 yards. Started the year as the 3rd-team tailback, and Logan Payne, kind of a blue-collar wide receiver. The last 3 games, he's had 6 catches in each game, so he has really emerged on the outside for Minnesota.
3 wide receivers to the near side for Penix. The single setback. Cupido with time throws to Penix, and Penix is drilled by middle linebacker David Harris. The Gophers' offensive line very good with its zone blocking scheme. They have keyed the offense with 2,000 yards rushing and passing the last 7 years. They're the only school in the NCAA to accomplish that feat. And that's a stat that really stands out for people who are not familiar with Minnesota football.
And the key position in this offensive line is the center. They've had 2 great centers. And now Brinkhouse is the new center. He was a tackle last year.
Four-man rush against Cupido. Has time, dumps it off, and same play, same result. David Harris on the little check down to Penix, and Harris is right there to make the tackle. No first down.
It's good discipline by David Harris. He's playing very, very well. A senior, one of those guys who lost 11 pounds, feels like he's quicker, has better energy, better stamina. Has really kicked up his preparation this year. And 2 plays in a row, he stayed at home and read the little check down to the back and made a solid tackle in the open field.
Said most of the time those midnight fast food runs are over. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Cusack to punt. And Breston is the deep man. Signals fair catch and makes it at its own 16-yard line. 41-yard kick. No return. That's good news for Minnesota. But the bad news is they're down 7-0 after 1 possession.
Reese Davis with you. Prime Time Pulse, show you what's going on in the family of networks. Ohio State and Iowa. You see Antonio Pittman making a nice run there. Look what's happening on ESPN2. Houston on top of Miami late in the third, 13-7, guys.
Well, thanks, Reese. Didn't know you were going to be there. Hart is the tailback as they start from their own 16. Less running room this time, gets 4 up to the 20. It was Van de Steeg and Hightower on the tackle.
You know, it's interesting about Mike Hart. He's not as big as some of the backs they've had at Michigan. He's listed as 5'9", but he's 196, almost 200 pounds. And his lower body, I mean, he's got big, strong, thick legs. He has excellent balance. He's tough, and he's elusive. He makes people miss, even though he's not a real flashy type runner.
Hard off right tackle. Big hole. Dives forward. Should have enough for the first down.
The last time Michigan had the football, I mean, they went right at this Minnesota defense and said, hey, we love our zone blocking and we love Mike Hart. Try to tackle him. Good blocking at the point of attack. To run the zone effectively, you must control the line of scrimmage, and Michigan was able to do that. And then when they needed a pass on 3rd and 10, Henne found Arrington. And for Adrian Arrington, that's his first career touchdown reception.
Hart's had a pretty good first quarter, 55 yards so far. Make it 65. Breaking tackles, knocked out of bounds. We got the clock back, and it stopped at 7:01 first quarter.
Mentioned that he is the heart and soul of this offense. He's an emotional leader. He missed 4 games last year, and Michigan really was not the same without him. I mean, he is a very smart player. I mean, he's good in the passing game. He's good in pass protection. And we've already seen tonight he's excellent with the football in his hands.
Grady will come in to give him a breather as they will measure for a first down. And it is a first down. Ohio State, Iowa, you're interested in that ball game, and Ohio State driving early in that contest on ABC. Oli Olibo, number 40, is in as a blocking back, and he's got Grady offset behind him, and Grady will get the carry. Picks up a couple before he's shoved back by the middle of that line. Let's check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Mike, Taco Bell studio update. Top 3 teams in the land on the road this weekend, including USC in Pullman to take on Washington State. John David Booty to Steve Smith. This would get the Trojans inside the 5 and set up a touchdown. 14-6 late in the first half.
All right, thanks, Reese. We have 6:23 and counting here. The Dome in Minneapolis, and Brandon Miner, number 4, the 3rd tailback that Michigan has used, is into the ballgame his first time. 2nd and 7. Wolverines from their own 40. Henne Good play fake, no pressure at all, right down the middle, intended for Manningham, and Manningham had a stride and a half on Keith Massey, but Henne missed him.
One of the things that makes Mario Manningham so difficult is he is an excellent double move guy. Watch, plants to the inside, back out, and then in, and that cornerback has no chance if the ball's thrown to Manningham. A little bit over his head, great route by Mario. Just a slight overthrow by Chad Henne.
Said when he came back to fall camp this year, there was the wow factor. He was just bigger, faster, and he has just run by people for those touchdowns he has this year. Crowd trying to encourage the Minnesota defense on 3rd and long. Henne, finally some pressure, and they got him from behind.
Oh, good pressure, but good coverage downfield by the Minnesota secondary.
Van de Steeg from one end, Davis from the other.
Last 3rd down, he threw a touchdown. This time, nowhere to go with the football. Excellent coverage downfield. It was only a 4-man rush, and they got to Henne late.
So Michigan will kick it. Zoltan Mesko to kick to Dominic Davis.
Wow.
Booms one down to the 8. Davis. Nice cut. Boy, nearly had something going there. Took it back over the 20 to the 21. Van Alstyne made the tackle on special teams. 13-yard return after a punt of 54. Can Minnesota get its offense going?
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
The McNamara Alumni Center stands on the site of the old Memorial Stadium, and the center serves as a major entryway to the university. The arch is from the Memorial Stadium arch, the only remaining structure from the on-campus stadium. And 3 years from now, they will have an on-campus stadium at Minnesota. It's got to be a tremendous boost to the Golden Gophers football program. Congratulations to Glenn Mason and his staff, and to the university administrators who are going to make this happen. Penix, nice run, and Penix driven out of bounds. Let's go to Reese Davis.
Mike, #1 team in the country, Ohio State in Iowa, frenzied atmosphere. Troy Smith, Anthony Gonzalez, touchdown. It's on ABC. Buckeyes up by 7.
Penix shows some spark in the Minnesota offense.
Yeah. Great balance also, because it looked like he might have gone down for about a 6-yard gain, kept his balance and turned it into a big gainer.
Spaeth was the tight end in motion. Penix shakes one tackle, but then buried by the second man.
Let's go back to the last big running play. Matt Spaeth, a dominant run blocker. Here he is. Watch him come in and crack back on the defensive end, Jamison. And that sets up the play. Then you're going to see the center, Brinkhouse, pull out. Good blocks at the point of attack, and then the balance by Penix. But a good first play for the Minnesota offense. The second play, however, not so good.
Cupido pressured out of the pocket. Throws on the run too high, intended for Wheelwright.
Well, you see the power of Alan Branch, number 80 in there. He is a big physical guy who is playing very well for the Michigan defense. He's the guy who forced Cupido out of the pocket on the play action. They had everybody blocked except for number 80, Branch. He's going to force Cupido out, and then that's a tough throw. Rolling to his right, trying to throw back to his left slightly. Branch is 6'5", 330 pounds, and a tremendous athlete.
How does a guy that big move like that? That's amazing.
He's a running back in high school. How about that?
No thanks. Cupido, good protection this time. Throws and dropped. Right in the hands of Logan Payne. He had to turn a little bit, but certainly a catchable ball.
Well, there was some contact back there with Jamar Adams, the strong safety. Jamar Adams, number 22, is going to get tangled up with Payne. Pretty good protection for Cupido. And when Payne came off of that contact, he just wasn't able to pick up the football quick enough. Boy, they could have called that pass interference, I think. That was contact.
I think you're right.
While the ball was in the air.
Kusek to punt to Breston. Holds all the career punt return records for this school and makes another fair catch to 23.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at nbusa.com, and Holiday Inn Express. Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Seven nothing, but an encouraging exchange of punts from Minnesota. They played better on defense and better on offense than they did on the first series. Hart is back in there, and Henne goes out to Breston on a little flanker screen, and Breston is drilled by Dominic Jones. Check in with Reese.
Mike, SportsCenter 30 at 30, and I know in your neck of the woods are primarily concerned with the AL Central, but Dodgers and Padres, you see the Padres celebrating there. They've clinched playoff spots. Padres' magic number is 1 to go into the playoffs as the NL West champs. And Vince Young's going to make his first career start for the Titans against the Cowboys on Sunday. SportsCenter after the game, ESPN News, all the time.
Thanks, Reese. From the 30, Henne quickly to Manningham.
Well, you see the strength again of Chad Henne's arm. That's a long throw. Even though it's a 3-step drop and a 5-yard route, when you're throwing from the left hash to the right sideline, that ends up being about a 35-yard throw, and Chad Henne throws it right on a rope. A lot of quarterbacks in college football can't make this throw. 3-step drop from the left hash, no air under that ball to the right sideline or the right numbers, and Manningham able to catch it and turn upfield. You got to give him cushion because of his speed and his ability to get by you. So that short pass, very difficult to defend.
I was just going to say that's a nightmare for a DB because he's probably 10 yards off to start with. Hart only gets a couple. There's some uniforms when you're channel surfing and you turn on a game, you wonder, well, I don't know who's playing. You know, if it's Michigan, you can't miss those uniforms. Can't miss the helmets.
That is a good-looking helmet.
That's a great tradition of Michigan football, and the uniforms are a big part of it. That's the end of the first quarter in Minneapolis, where Minnesota is trailing the undefeated Michigan Wolverines at 7-0. Welcome back to the Dome in Minnesota. Michigan scored on its opening possession to take a 7-0 lead. That's been it so far, but Michigan has certainly dominated the statistical page. 125 total yards to only 38. Hart was 67 yards rushing already.
Well, they dominated the clock too. I mean, they had the ball for almost 12 minutes of the first quarter. Only 3 minutes of possession time for Minnesota. Hard to gain yards when you don't have the ball.
Second and long. Henne, nice play fake. Throws on the run. Had Breston wide open and threw it at his feet. Have a red zone alert on Ohio State and Iowa. Number 1 against number 13. Iowa driving.
I think Iowa's going to really challenge Ohio State tonight because of Drew Tate, an experienced quarterback. The first experienced quarterback that the Ohio State defense has faced this season.
You know, I've already seen that game. It was a great one. People watching on ABC ought to keep watching. Third and long. Henne. 4-man rush. Plenty of time. Throws underneath. And very close to a first down. The tight end Mike Massey made the catch. All depends on the spot. He dove for the 45-yard line, and the sticks are right inside that mark. And where they're marking it, it doesn't look like he has it. The yellow line, of course, not official, but it's very, very close.
It's a good open field tackle by Dion Hightower, a young linebacker, probably their best in-space linebacker.
They like him, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. Sophomore out of Arlington, Texas.
Kid's only 210, but he can run. Olebo is in. Several tight ends are in. Hart got outside, first down and more. Hart driven out of bounds to the 38-yard line.
You mentioned Olebo being in. He got the key block because Minnesota tried to bring the corner blitz again. Trumaine Banks was coming off the corner, and Olebo alertly saw it and made the play. Watch Olebo with his eyes open pick up the corner, buries him, and that allows Hart to get to the outside for the easy first down. Olebo was a linebacker when he came to Michigan, was very shocked and disappointed that Coach Carr wanted to move him to fullback, but he has really adapted to his new role.
Apparently he's taking it out on other people. Henne straight down the middle, and it's a touchdown to Arrington. On the post, a beautiful throw, and he beat Trumaine Banks. That was pretty.
Well, it starts with protection, and then what Chad Henne sees is no safety help. Nobody deep, one-on-one post route, and Arrington got his man turned and got inside of him, and a good big target for Chad Henne.
37-yard touchdown strike. The point after will make it 14-0, and Henne in the first half, 2 touchdowns, 99 yards passing. He's hit 6 of his first 8.
Reese Davis with you, keeping our finger on the prime time pulse. On the family of networks, Iowa and Ohio State. Buckeyes just stiffened on defense, held the Hawkeyes to a field goal. It's 7-3 late in the first. And Miami's taking the lead on Houston. As you see Kyle Wright dancing out of bounds there. Miami on ESPN2, though, still in a fight in the fourth quarter, 14-13.
Boy. Michigan on top here, 14-0. Another long drive. This one's 77 yards. Dominic Jones got a couple of good blocks and took it up to around 25 yards.
Let's go back to the touchdown. Now, watch Chad Henne. He is going to move the safety, DJ Jones, again with his eyes. He's going to be looking this way. Watch him look him off and move him out of the pattern. Now, once he's got that open, he's got all this area as Arrington's going to run into that open area. All he has to do now is make sure he doesn't overthrow. He moves the safety with his eyes, and then he throws a perfect pass to Arrington. Arrington, no career touchdown passes coming into tonight, 2 in the first half.
Penix, nice hole up the middle, running hard to the 32-33-yard line, where Prescott Burgess made the tackle. Well, the Minnesota coaches told us earlier this week that they knew they had to stop the run. Right. And if that meant the defensive backs ended up on an island a lot, they just had to make plays because there's no other way to go up against Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, it's choosing your poison right now because Chad Henne is throwing with great confidence, and he is on target. So you've got to try to stop one thing, and so far they haven't stopped either one.
Penix again picking his way this time for about 3 out to the 38-yard line. Jamar Adams, the strong safety, who's been very good in run support, comes up and makes the tackle.
Amir Penix started the season as the third-team tailback. E.J. Jones was actually the starter in the opener against Kent State. Then Alex Daniels became the starter. And Penix got his first start last week. Been in the program a long time, over 1,000 yards in his career.
Spaeth, the tight end, gets up to about the 42-yard line. The All-American candidate as Jamar Adams makes another tackle. Let's go to Reese Davis.
All right, Mike, number 2, USC on the road in the Palouse against Washington State. Alex Brink to Jason Hill. That's his 29th career touchdown pass. Somebody call the fashion police on the Cougars jerseys, but they are down by just 2 at the halftime.
Oh boy, Reese, you're right.
Must be a Pac-10 thing. Oregon, Washington State.
Oh. Too many that look like softball uniforms.
Boy, David Harris really is
something, isn't he?
He is. I mean, and he's reading quickly. He's running downhill. The key to this Minnesota offense is controlling the line of scrimmage, but watch how quickly Harris reads it and comes underneath the offensive line to make the play behind the line of scrimmage. No false steps, no false movement. It's Ron English, the new defensive coordinator. He's got an intense personality, and it's really rubbed off on this defense this year.
And all the coaches love Harris's practice habits. So he goes really hard all the time. Penix. Great run. Got away from Harris. And got down to the 45-yard line. So Penix has given them the offensive lift. A couple of times he's broken runs. That was for 15. And keep in mind, Michigan is #1 in the nation against the run. 18.5 a game. That's all.
Well, this was an adjustment where they brought the guard or the tackle in the center and pulled out, and it was a great block by Logan Payne, the wide receiver, who came back on the crackback block. That's what sealed the corner for Penix to get outside.
It's funny when you watch Penix run, he doesn't look as fast as the guys that are chasing him, but he runs away from him. Now Daniels comes in. And they give it on the end around to Logan Payne, the wide receiver. And Payne picks up some good yardage. Let's go to Holly Rowe on the sideline. Holly?
Well, guys, you've seen Amir Penix be very effective so far in the first half running the ball. Last week, when he got his first start against Purdue for the season, he ran for 173 yards. Now, the coaches say it's because he's a blue-collar kid who will absolutely give you everything he's got when he's out there. But he says it's because he's had to be patient. He had to wait his turn to play here, and he said what's made him good is when he got his opportunity, he took it.
Sure did.
He wants to keep it too, Holly, even though they're going to rotate some guys. Daniels fumbled the toss and then taken down at the 38. And the running backs for this club come in small, medium, and large. Jones, Penix, and Daniels. Daniels is large, 255.
As a former linebacker, just kind of took his eyes off the ball. You got to catch the ball first. Bobbled a little bit. That slowed down the play and allowed Burgess to get there.
Of course, they had the great tandem of Lawrence Maroney and Brian Russell. They lost Maroney to the NFL, first-round draft choice of the Patriots, and Russell to academics. So the door was wide open for running backs. Penix lowers his shoulder, got nothing.
And Branch right there again, along with David Harris. Branch is just a load in there. I mean, he's a hard guy to move.
You run into him is pretty much over, isn't it?
Penix tried to cut back and nowhere to run with Mr. Branch inside there.
He's outweighed by 130 pounds. So face to face, he's not going to do a whole lot.
Boy, no hesitation at all by Glenn Mason.
I like this.
Mitch Browning, offensive coordinator, 4th and 3.
Not going to get that many shots. You might as well take them. Are they trying to draw them off?
I think they might throw right now to Payne.
Penix got it.
Nice
Fighting
job.
for extra yardage down to the 26. You got to love the call, and you got to love the execution of the run.
And really, that was Brian Cupido, because that was his responsibility to check to the right running play at the line of scrimmage. They check to the outside zone. The fullback leads, gets a great block on Prescott Burgess, and that enabled Penix to cut up in for the first down. Glenn Mason, 4th and 3, told us yesterday, he says, you know, it's a whole lot more fun to coach to win than to coach not to lose.
Boy,
that's coaching to win right there.
And Daniels will get maybe a yard, pushing and shoving after the play. Got a red zone alert for you for Miami and Houston, with Miami up 1 and driving.
Well, that is a game that the Miami Hurricanes and Larry Coker desperately need to win. Already 2 losses on the season. Minnesota having some success running the football right now. Nobody has had any success running against Michigan. Minnesota by far the most success.
Cupido with time, throws back. Penix That's the third time they've gone to him out of the backfield. Hall made the catch, or made the tackle.
Well, this Michigan defense is fast, and so far you see the discipline. They're staying in their lanes in the running game. That time Leon Hall was not fooled by the misdirection. You know, normally when you throw it back to a back like that, you're expecting that whole defense to be flowing with the quarterback. They stayed right in position to make the stop for very little gain.
3rd and 4. 3 wideouts. Penix is the single setback. Cupido wants it all. Got a man in the end zone. That should be a touchdown. No! Logan Payne caught the ball, but they said he was out of bounds. Stewart had the coverage.
Well,
and they're showing it on the Jumbotron. That's why the crowd went nuts.
Nice throw by Cupido on the fade over the outside shoulder. Does he have possession and get 1 foot in?
That's
Boy,
a touchdown.
That is. That's a catch. Now they're bringing the field goal team out. But I'd take my time if I'm Minnesota and allow them to review this.
He had the ball at an odd angle in his arm. But
in one arm.
That doesn't matter. If he's got possession, he's got possession. The angle doesn't matter. One arm doesn't matter.
And the ball didn't even bobble when he hit the ground.
Nope.
I mean, he had it in one arm, 1 foot in, hit the ground, and the ball never even moved.
Folks, that's a touchdown.
That's
and
a
they're
phenomenal
review this.
catch,
Yes,
too,
it
by
was.
Logan Payne. Great
Yes, it
throw
was.
by Cupido over the outside shoulder, and a great catch.
And here's one of the ironies of college football. Minnesota and Michigan are playing a game. Usually Michigan is going to get the call simply because they're Michigan. It's not, I'm not saying the officials are doing anything wrong. That's just the way it happens. The big cheese gets the call.
What a play. I mean, you cannot throw that any better. When you throw a fade route, you must throw it over the outside shoulder away from the defender. It's exactly where the ball was, into the left arm of Logan Payne. His right foot is down. That is a whale of a catch.
Boy, wasn't it? Beautiful throw.
Following the review, we have indisputable video evidence. Solid possession by the receiver. Catch inbound. Touchdown.
What a great job by the officials. Hats off to them. That's the beauty of instant replay.
And the beauty of the college instant replay. That didn't require a coach challenging
That's right.
the call.
And it's a 21-yard touchdown pass play. Cupido now number 2 all time in Minnesota quarterbacking history with 41 touchdown passes. 12 plays, 75 yards. You don't get too many 12-play drives against that Michigan defense.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
And Minnesota has given the Golden Gopher fans something to cheer about. They score on a nice drive against Michigan and are down only 14-7.
Logan Payne is going to run the fade route right to the corner, and as soon as Cupido sees this safety squat on the short route, he knows he's got one-on-one coverage against Carl Stewart. Beautiful throw to the outside, right over the outside shoulder, and Logan Payne with his 6th touchdown catch of the season.
Steve Breaston and Darnell Hood are deep. Breaston only needs 18 yards to break Anthony Carter's record for total yards on kickoff returns. And he'll have his chance from the 2. Stacked up and
Great
didn't
coverage.
get to the 20.
Great coverage. High kickoff, great coverage.
Monday night, Brett Favre and the Packers try to even their record to 2-2 as they face Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles. Is it Monday yet? Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern, also available in high definition on ESPN HD and in Spanish on ESPN Deportes. I don't know that there's been anybody in the last 15 years, 20 years, any more fun to watch than Brett Favre.
Yeah, he plays with a reckless abandon.
Yes, he does.
You really got to respect him for that.
And he's still got the laser.
Yep.
He can chuck that thing. Hart is back in a tailback for Michigan. And turned back as he got up to the 21-yard line. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, this Minnesota team told us the most important thing about playing tonight was to believe that they could win against Michigan. After that last touchdown catch, Logan Payne went and was fired up, yelling at his teammates. He said, they're not that good, guys. They're trying to make themselves believe that they can play with Michigan. And after that drive, guys, maybe they can.
I think they can, Holly. I mean, they've run for 64 yards against Michigan. Remember, the first 4 opponents of Michigan combined coming into tonight only 74 yards rushing. So they're running the football. Brian Cupido is on target throwing the football right now. And the last 3 years, even though Minnesota's only won 1 of the matchups, they have played exceptionally well against Michigan.
2nd and 5 for the Wolverines. Hart. At about 3, it'll bring up a 3rd and 2. And you mentioned the last 3 years have been close, all 3 points. They won last year in Ann Arbor. Michigan had its biggest comeback in school history to win in 2003. Then they won their 16th in a row, and then Minnesota broke that streak and got the Little Brown Jug a year ago.
That 2003 game, Michigan scored 31 points in the 4th quarter to win.
3rd and a short 2, flanker screen. That'll be enough for a first down as they got it to Breston. They like that 2-man screen. Let's go to Reese Davis. Reese?
Mike, the primetime pulse again. The game's going on in the family of networks on ABC. Ohio State and Iowa just started the 2nd quarter. Buckeyes still with a 7-3 lead. Buckeyes forcing a punt now. On ESPN2, Miami clinging to that 1-point lead on Houston inside. 6 minutes to go.
Well, that brings back memories of when Miami played Houston when they were both in the top 10. When David Klingler was there and we thought it'd be such a great game, and Miami just beat him to a pulp. Henne, plenty of time, got it to Breston. Hightower showing you that speed coming up to finish off the tackle, but Breston on another good throw from Henne.
Well, again, the play action off the running game, single coverage, and Jamal Harris was in position, but he's going to slip. Watch number 15 slip when he comes out of his break. He slips and falls down. That gives Breston a cushion to make the catch. And then he held onto the ball when Hightower hit him from behind. But we're going to see a lot of man coverage now from Minnesota because they realize they must commit extra bodies to stop this Michigan running game.
Olebo, the fullback, in front of Hart. Trying to get off that left side again.
Good job. Good job of defense, stringing it out. We've seen Willie Van de Steeg have some problems, get hooked a couple times. That time he didn't get hooked, and he maintained outside position and forced that ball back inside.
Joined us late. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where number 6 and undefeated Michigan is taking on the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. Michigan scored first. In fact, they've had 2 long drives in this ball game, but Minnesota has cut into the lead and trying to slow down that powerful Michigan running attack right now. Henne, another good play fake. Massey, the tight end, across midfield down to the 47-yard line. Let's go to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, starting tight end Tyler Ecker for Michigan is out of this game, and it looks like for the rest of the game. He has what is looking like a high ankle sprain that he suffered on the very first play of the game. So in his place, Mike Massey, who just had that catch, and their 3rd-string tight end Carson Butler suspended for this game. So 4th-stringer Brian Thompson is in there, and he seems to be doing a fair job.
All right, thanks for the update, Holly.
And Mike Massey looked like he was a little shaken up at the end of that play where he just made the catch.
Third down at about 4.5 yards. Thompson is in as the tight end, as Holly just told you. He is number 4 on the depth chart. Henne straight back to throw, plenty of time, got it to Arrington, Where they're going to mark it, it's going to be enough for a first down, as the middle linebacker Mike Sherrills took him down.
Well, Henne just showing great poise. I mean, he changed the play at the line of scrimmage, looked very Peyton Manning-esque there, you know, making the audible against a hostile crowd and the noise here in the dome. And then right before the play clock ran out, snapped it and made the nice throw for the first down conversion.
Clock running, under 4 minutes to go. Henne very, very efficient in the opening half. He's already thrown for 125 yards. Good play fake this time. The blitz, they pick it up perfectly. Manningham wide open. He had Jamal Harris beat by 2 steps, and Henne threw it perfectly. 41-yard touchdown.
Well, Minnesota tried to drop a safety down late, and Chad Henne saw that, knew there was no help in the middle again. And these post routes, Minnesota has had no answer in the open field for the post routes by the Michigan wideouts.
Rivas for the point after. And Michigan with that quick strike capability, and Henne on target for another bomb to the explosive Super Mario Manningham. Michigan has had great receivers over the years. Anthony Carter, the 3-time All-American, Desmond Howard, David Terrell, Braylon Edwards. And is this the next guy? Mario Manningham. Is he in line to join that group in the record books? He certainly has the speed, certainly has the big play capability. You made a great point in our meeting the other day. He has rarely been challenged. You don't know how good a guy is if he's wide open all the time, do you?
Well, he makes it look easy, I'll tell you. And he doesn't drop it.
Dominic Jones. But this kid's tough. He just fights for everything.
See, the problem for Minnesota right now is David Lockwood, the defensive coordinator, they're having to make a choice. Do we commit that extra body to stop the run? If we do that and we don't get pressure on the quarterback if they go to throw, we got a problem. And these touchdown passes have been against single coverage with no help in the middle, and post routes with no help in the middle are very difficult to defend. Or do we keep a safety back to stop that from happening and then try to defend the run with one less guy? Very difficult the way Michigan's playing right now.
Penix, who's had a good first half, is back in there. Kupito to Payne, shakes a tackle. Payne up near the 45. 14-yard gain for Logan Payne. Let's go to Reese Davis.
Mike Pontiac Performance Halftime Report not far away. Let me correct something I said in the Primetime Pulse a minute ago. Ohio State got the ball in an interception, not a punt. They turned it into a touchdown against Iowa. We'll get you up to date on that. Talk about Michigan State's collapse and also the hunt for October in baseball. It's all coming up at halftime. Mark and Lou will be here too.
All right, thank you, Reese. Minnesota trying to move the ball with under 3 minutes to go in the first half. They're down 2 touchdowns. Pressure coming. Kupito airs it out. There was some contact on that pattern, and Payne is really complaining that he was interfered with by Leon Hall, and I think he's got a pretty good argument.
Well, the only problem for Brian Kupito on this throw is he didn't put very much air under it. Rather than throw it up a little higher and let Payne run under it, he threw that thing on a line. I don't know. I think the contact was incidental. It was just got a normal contact down there with Hall. But the ball would have been difficult for Payne to catch because it was thrown with such a flat trajectory anyway.
You're right. Leon Hall looked like he got one of those chicken wings out there and maybe interfered a little bit with Payne, but I guess not enough to make a call for that official, who certainly had a better angle on it than we did. Penix, nice hole. Nice cut by Penix down to the Michigan 41-yard line, and that 18.5 yards per game against the rush is disappearing tonight. 71 so far for Penix.
And a nice block by Spaeth. Excellent job by Penix cutting inside the block by the tight end Spate, number 89. Penix running hard. And
Sure
the best
is.
thing for the Minnesota defense right now is if they don't have to come back on the field. I mean, the less they spend on the field, the better off Minnesota will be. That means the offense needs to stay out there.
Fullback in there this time is Justin Valentine.
Penetration.
Boy, and they just exploded through the middle of the offensive line. Lamar Woodley, the All-American candidate, one of 2 captains on this team, was in there on the stop.
Lamar Woodley just going to anticipate and come right inside the block of the tackle. Tavali, the guard, rather. He came on an inside stunt. Tavali not ready to cut him off. And Woodley, one of those senior guys, a lot of starting experience, has been a dominant player here this season.
Cupido on 2nd and 14. Some pressure coming. Gets it off. Complete down to the 35-yard line. Again, nice catch by Logan Payne. And Charles Stewart makes the tackle.
Well, for Minnesota, they almost have to get another score in here. And a touchdown more so than a field goal, because Michigan's not having to settle for field goals. They're scoring touchdowns. So Minnesota is going to need to score touchdowns as well.
Penix shakes one tackle, dives inside the 35 to the 34. Rondell Biggs gummed everything up and made the tackle, and Glenn Mason, who has already gone forward once on 4th down and made it. That set up their touchdown play. Has a timeout with 56 seconds to go and a chance to make up his mind on whether he goes for it again. Here's tonight's Aflac trivia question. Which 2 former Michigan coaches have more career victories at Michigan than Lloyd Carr? Think about it. We'll give you the answer later. One of them ought to be really easy for you. The other one you'll have to dig. 4th down, penalty flag kills the play.
Well, now it's going to be 4th and 8. Much different situation.
64, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Wouldn't you go anyway?
Yeah, I think so. You know, there's 56 seconds left. Too far to kick a field goal, I would think.
You know what? That was the first penalty. That's remarkable.
You know what? They're going to punt the ball. And I guess I understand because of this. They have not been able to slow Michigan down. And the worst thing that could happen is to give them a short field and let them stick one more touchdown in before halftime, the way Chad Henne's throwing it.
Kusek will punt. Breston goes back. But he's not going to get much of an opportunity, I don't think. And it's kicked out of bounds to the 7-yard line. So if Michigan wants to do anything offensively, they're going to have to do it with only 49 seconds to go on the clock. Here's the answer to our trivia question tonight, the Aflac question. Which 2 former Michigan coaches have more career victories at Michigan than Lloyd Carr? Bo Schembechler, 194 wins, and Fielding H. Yost with 165. Lloyd Carr has 106. Fielding Yost was the guy who left the little brown jug in Minnesota in 1903.
And that's the guy that wants to take it back.
Yes, he does. He's got a leg up on it right now at 21-7.
Great record, 106 from 34, 75% winning percentage.
And considering the teams he plays every year, that's a remarkable percentage.
You know, I don't think we're going to see Michigan use any of them, but I'm impressed by this. They have all 3 of their timeouts left to end the first half. We've done a bunch of games already this year, and I don't know that I've seen any team be that efficient with their clock management, getting in and out of the huddle, calling their plays. They don't need any of their 3 timeouts. They go to the locker room with a 14-point lead.
Very well disciplined, very well coached. They've shown it in the first half, and they've jumped out to a 21-7 lead at the half. Now let's join Reese Davis for the Pontiac Performance halftime report. Welcome back to the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the undefeated and 6th-ranked Michigan Wolverines have only a 21-7 lead, but they have racked up 166 yards passing, only 73 from Minnesota, 101 to 75 rush yards. And remember, Michigan came into this game #1 in the country, averaging only 18.5 yards allowed per game. Minnesota's done a lot better than that. And actually, Minnesota's had some pretty good moments in the first half.
They have. You know, we talked about things that they needed to do to have a chance to win. They've done some of those. They've covered Stevie Breston on the kicks. Brian Cupido has thrown the ball well. The only problem is this Michigan offense has been almost impossible to stop because Mike Hart's running and Chad Henne was 10 of 12 throwing the football.
Pretty good combination. And the kickoff is going to go out of bounds around the 10, and that is a major error for special teams. This is our game track, and it's been a long-time battle for the Little Brown Jug. The series that started for that trophy in 1903. Arrington, a big game, 3 catches, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
You know, I know the Michigan guys, when we talk to their coaches, they kind of downplayed the whole revenge thing and, you know, getting the jug back. But the bottom line is, this is the 3rd game in a row Michigan's playing a team that beat them last year, and they looked very focused tonight.
I mean, you played for a big-time program. If somebody at Penn State, you didn't lose that many games. If somebody beat you, or beat you, the natural reaction is the next year you played them, you wanted to get them back.
Absolutely. You want to get them back. And also, you think about what Lloyd Carr and all the coaches and all these players heard all during the offseason, you know, about the program. Had it slipped, 7-5. What's wrong with this team? You know, will you be any better next year? And this is a team that has played with a completely different attitude and sense of purpose this season.
2nd and 4. Penix, who had that good first half, picking his way again. And Penix is showing tonight he is an outstanding running back against any kind of competition. Let's go to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Hey guys, I checked with both coaches at the half. Lloyd Carr said he was pleased with the first half from a standpoint of good situational play calling against the right defenses, no turnovers, and good hard effort. He said they need to improve their run defense. For Glenn Mason, I said, how do you pick your poison? You bring the safety in the box, and then you give up the long pass play. He said, we can't do it. We've got to bring the safety back. We can't leave those wide receivers one-on-one. We need safety help.
And Holly, that's exactly what Todd was saying at the half when we were talking, that they can't allow this to go on any longer. Michigan just doesn't miss a deep pass.
Well, if Chad Henne was struggling, then you could take the chance. Now, this is a critical potential injury.
It's their best lineman,
for Minnesota.
Brinkhouse.
Tony Brinkhouse is their starting center. This means Tyson Swaggart, who was the backup center last year and is the starting left guard, will move over to center.
And they'll bring in Ruckdash, number 74, to play the guard spot. Brinkhouse, they moved from tackle to center, and they pull their center a lot when they run wide plays. And he is simply their best offensive lineman. It's going to hurt to have him out of there, and David Harris makes the tackle on this play.
Well, Swaggart is a good center in his own right. We talked about the 2 centers they've had prior to this. Ben Hamilton and Greg Esslinger, both guys are in the NFL. They're both with the Denver Broncos. They were outstanding players. Esslinger won the Outland Trophy and the Remington Award last year. So you're replacing some great centers, but Swaggart has played the position before.
2 tight ends in this formation. Cupido to throw, and double coverage, and missed his wide receiver Eric Decker. Monday and Hall were back for the Wolverines, and they'll have to kick it away.
Ryan
No,
Cupido
excuse me, it's 3rd down.
has played pretty well tonight. He's thrown the ball effectively. He's got rid of it. They haven't gotten any sacks. Michigan came in with 17 sacks. They haven't gotten to him tonight. He's made some nice checks at the line of scrimmage in the running game. He's got to make a big throw here on 3rd and 10.
That was Brinkhouse they were working on the sideline. Had his right leg elevated. Here comes pressure. They pick up the blitz. And enough for the first down. Well, you got to like Logan Payne. That guy just knows how to play.
Well, Logan Payne and Amir Penix, because Penix is going to pick up a blitz that allows Cupido to make the throw to Payne. Watch Penix come over here and pick up the blitzing linebacker. Great job picking up Burgess. That allowed Cupido to find his crossing receiver and make the big throw.
And a lot of times in college football, you've got guys who can run, but they can't block for the quarterback, and therefore they can't play. You got to protect that guy with the ball. Fake the end around.
He's got wheel right.
Cupido down the middle, wheel right, wide open, touchdown. Nice play and beautifully executed. Now there's a flag down. Back near the line of scrimmage in the backfield. Holy cow, it's coming back.
Well, the body language of Nedvard Tavalli, number 66, the right guard, is suggesting that that penalty was on him. Everybody else was down celebrating in the end zone, and Tavalli was standing there with his head down.
74 offense,
not
10
him.
yards, previous spot. Still first down.
That's Ruckdaschel, the young man who came off the bench. Boy, they fooled him. They set this up perfectly.
It was Ruckdaschel. Here's the guy. Now remember, Swaggart moved to center. He's trying to cut off the big guy, Branch, I believe. No, it was actually Terrence Taylor he was blocking on, number 67. Boy, they did have it set up. They faked the reverse, wide open. Can't let those opportunities slip away.
Didn't see much on that one, Todd, to make a holding call.
Especially considering you could call holding every play.
Just about. And boy, what a perfectly executed play. Would have gotten him within a touchdown. And now Penix is belted by Engelmann as he came across the 50-yard line. Let's go to Holly.
Hey guys, Tony Brinkhouse, the center, has had his right leg examined. He's complaining of pain on the inside high ankle portion. The good news is, though, they're taping him back up. They're going to let him put some weight on it and try to come back. Guys, they need that steadying presence on that offensive line.
The bad news is it might limit his mobility and being used as a puller, what they like to do on a lot of their outside runs. But you're right, his presence in there will be much needed.
Decker comes in as an additional wide receiver. They'll give it to Penix. Maybe a yard or two. There are a couple of plays every game that just change everything, and certainly that holding call was one of them. If you're Minnesota, it just breaks your heart. And you work on a couple of plays during the week. You say, you know, in a certain situation, this could work. This could get us a huge score and turn the game around. Glenn Mason calls it, gets it, it's executed perfectly, comes back on the hold. 3rd and a mile. Pressure coming on Cupido. Throws on the run. Out of bounds. Michigan has the luxury when it's playing pass defense of just sending the front 4. They can get pressure with those 4 guys, and they drop 7. You can double cover a lot of people if you drop 7.
Well, Branch very powerful on the inside. Lamar Woodley leads the team with 5 sacks. You're right, you can be very creative with your coverage if you can get consistent pressure by only rushing 4.
Kusek to punt. Breston is deep. They've done a nice job on special teams not letting Breston hurt them. This is returnable, however. And Breston went to a knee as he made the catch, and it's down there. 35-yard kick. Michigan will have it and go back on offense when we return to the Dome.
The primetime pulse of games on the family of networks. Their halftime at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Number 1 Ohio State with a 21-10 lead. On ESPN2 in the SEC, Georgia and Ole Miss starting the second quarter scoreless. Both Matthew Stafford and Joe Cox have played. Ole Miss had a blocked punt wiped out on a defensive holding call.
Last week, I don't know that I've ever seen a kid happier than Joe Cox after a ball game, and he earned it too. The numbers on Henne pretty good. 10 out of 12, 3 scores, 166 yards. And he didn't miss the ones where he had the chance to get touchdowns either.
Movement, right side of the Michigan line.
False start, 83 offense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You mentioned Minnesota doing their part on special teams. Michigan's average starting field position, their own 16, backed up even further to start this possession. But what they were not able to do a very good job of in that first half was defend the pass. They couldn't get pressure on Henne, and they couldn't play man-to-man coverage on these Michigan wideouts.
One of the things they said they had to do was win the field position battle and stop Breaston. They have certainly done that so far. It's kept them in the game. Draw play, Hart.
For the first half, Chad Henne was about as hot as a quarterback could be, and it was very easy for him throwing touchdowns. Used his eyes very well, and he just never looked out of rhythm, out of sync, and every pass was in stride to his receivers. Because Minnesota was trying to commit extra guys to the box, there was no safety help, and Chad Henne was too hot for that. That's why Minnesota's changing their philosophy. You're going to see two safeties back, and they're going to say, look, our front seven, you're going to have to defend the run by yourself.
And the wide receivers have done most of the damage. It'll be interesting to see how they do it, because that's what it looked like they were doing at the start of the ball game. And Michigan went through them like crazy.
But the point is, it's a slow death maybe compared to the instant quick strike.
Yes.
But the benefit is the more plays you make Michigan run, the better chance maybe they make a mistake.
Sure.
Maybe they drop the ball. Maybe they get a holding penalty. Something happens. You give them one play or two plays for big scores, too easy.
Hart. Looks like he has a first down up near the 25-yard line. For more on Chad Henne, here's Holly.
Well, guys, when we talked to Chad Henne this week, he said that 7-5 season from last year is defining who he is as a football player this year. He is specifically more motivated to be a leader and to take command of this offense. The players say that he is completely different, that he has got command. He lets you know when you've done something wrong. And Chad said he's noticed it. He said, when I step in that huddle, they know I mean business.
That's what you have to have, Holly, and certainly he has put up some great numbers for an undefeated team, and the offense and defensive balance has been great for this club.
You know, I think the other thing, and Holly touched on a great point, the other thing that's helped Chad Henne develop as a leader is because he knew the job was his. There was no competition. He's been in the system 2 years, 3 years. You know, it's hard for a freshman or a sophomore to assert his leadership. But when he's a junior and a 3-year starter, he is the leader, and he's had time to really develop and work on that leadership aspect. I mean, he's the mentor now to a Mario Manningham or an Adrian Arrington. He's the older guy bringing those guys along.
Grady is the tailback getting a chance, and here comes the blitz. Get it out to Manningham, breaks one tackle up to the 43-yard line, where he's taken down by John Shevlin.
There's an indication where you see the added strength of Mario Manningham. A short hitch route, but the ability to break a tackle. You can't miss tackles in the open field, but the strength of Manningham able to add about 7-8 more yards to that short catch.
You mentioned the leadership of a quarterback. Whether he wants to be a leader or not, a quarterback has to be, doesn't he?
He has to be, but you know what? If you've got juniors and senior offensive linemen in that huddle and you're a freshman or a sophomore, I mean, they'll follow you, but they do it a little bit begrudgingly.
That time they stuffed Mike Hart as he got just back to the line of scrimmage. Here's Reese.
All right, Mike, USC in a fight to the finish against Washington State. It's 14-12 late in the third. John David Booty to Steve Smith. That made it 21-12, but it's 21-15 right now in the fourth.
Very interesting. You go on the road, you never know.
Yep. And, of course, the way USC has made their way, had their own way in that Pac-10. Everybody wants a shot at the Trojans. Washington State giving them a handful tonight.
Henne, another good play action fake, and that one bounces off of Manningham's hands. Chad Henne is not a name that leaps to mind when you talk about great Michigan quarterbacks, but look where he is in all these categories. Second in attempts and completions, third in yards, third in touchdowns, and they've had some good ones.
Yep. A lot of guys in the league. I think former Michigan quarterbacks, more than any other school in the National Football League right now. 4 or 5 guys. Of course, Tom Brady, the most visible of those guys.
Henne straight back. Only had pressure on him once. Manningham and 4 dark red jerseys take him down after a gain of 27.
When Minnesota just not able to generate any pass rush against this Michigan offensive line. They are really playing well tonight, blocking in the running game, keeping bodies away from their quarterback Chad Henne. They know he has a hot hand, and they say all we got to do is protect him, and he'll get the ball to the right guys.
It is a very big offensive line, but it is also very athletic. Grady fumble. That one's picked up by Breston, and Breston cut down at the 35, and it was Hightower who knocked it loose. He just blew up Grady.
Well, Steve Breston is used to fielding punts and kickoffs and balls that bounce off the turf. And he got another opportunity, albeit an unusual one. Ball pops right out, and Breston able to recover it.
Very fortunate for Michigan that they got it back. The ball bounced differently. Maybe Minnesota has a shot at going the length of the field for a touchdown.
Now look who's back in, number 20. He
Hart on fumble. 2nd and 15. No, he doesn't. Hart hiding behind the lineman for a while. Now he tries to duck out of there and picks up a couple. Matter of fact, Hart coming into this game had gone 524 touches without losing a fumble. That's remarkable. He'd gone 450 without a fumble at all, which I think is a better streak than not losing one.
Right, that's right. Never even comes out of his hand. This is a big play right here for Minnesota. Maybe the biggest play of the game for them. 3rd down and long. They've got Michigan backed up. They're not really, it'd be a very long field goal attempt for Rivas. They need to come up with a play right here on 3rd and long.
They have 5 men on the line of scrimmage. Will they come with a blitz? They do. They come with 6. Almost got there, and the pass is incomplete to Massey. They hurried Henne enough so that he couldn't wait.
That's right. They got there enough not to get the sack, but to force the early and errant throw. One of the few blitzes we've seen. Sherrills comes in unblocked and forces the overthrow.
And Henne on almost every other pass play has had that extra step where he could move up in the pocket, not have to worry about the rush, and just throw it in stride to somebody.
Nice call by David Lockwood. They have not blitzed much. They have not been able to get much pressure. That time they got the pressure, and it paid off.
Zoltan Mesko will come on to try to pooch it deep. High floating kick. Hits at the 1.
Oh, my goodness.
And downed maybe a half a foot away from the goal line. Stevie Brown, a backup safety from Columbus, Indiana, stationed himself at the goal line. The punt, 33 3/4 yards. What a play.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Allstate. Are you in good hands? And McDonald's.
And the punt, as we're back in Minnesota, beautiful city of Minneapolis. This punt that was down at the 1-inch line has now been ruled a touchback. And hats off again to the instant replay system. And my partner Todd Blackledge caught this one.
Well, Stevie Brown is out of the end zone, but the ball crosses the plane. See, the ball right there is over the end line. His feet are okay. See, now in college football, Stevie Brown could actually be standing with both feet in the end zone and down the ball in the field of play, and it could be down on the 1-yard line. but the ball cannot cross the plane, which it did. Still a great effort by Stevie
He
Brown.
did all he could.
Yeah.
So Minnesota gets a break, and they'll have the ball out at their 20. Brinkhouse has come back in at center. That's good news for them.
Sure is. That means Swigert goes back to left guard.
Critical that Minnesota gets something out of their offense. Down 2 touchdowns. Penix horse-collared and taken down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Michigan is physical. I mean, they're physical at the line of scrimmage. I mean, Minnesota has had some success running the ball, but not sustained success. And the key to this Minnesota running game is to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And about every other play, Ron English's defense gets to control the line of scrimmage. They're getting penetration. They're stretching plays out. It's a very, very good front seven that Michigan has.
Cupido, long throw to the sideline and dropped by Wheelwright. Beautiful throw by Cupido. If you joined us late, we're at the Dome in Minneapolis. Number 6 Michigan taking on Minnesota. Michigan in the battle for the little brown jug that they want back. Took the opening kickoff and drove for a touchdown. Looked like they had a chance to blow Minnesota right out of this building, but the Gophers have hung on, and they're down 21-7. Had a big touchdown called back on a holding penalty that would have cut it to 1 score. Pressure coming. Cupido had it tipped, and it's incomplete. And it looked like Sean Crable, the strong side linebacker, was the guy who got a hand on it.
Well, Sean Crable is 6'6", and he's going to come unblocked. Burgess came on the blitz. He got to the quarterback. Crable got his hand on the football. 3rd and 10 is not a good down and distance situation for Minnesota.
Now they've got a punt to Breston, and they can't kick it out of the end zone. And Breston with a chance to return this from his own 42. Look at the way he picks through tacklers, and now he's swarmed under after a 5-yard return and a line drive punt of 37 yards. Keith Massey was the first guy to get downfield for the Gophers. Timeout on the field, 3:46 to go, 3rd quarter.
Reese Davis with you, the Primetime Pulse. The other games on the family of networks on ABC, Ohio State and Iowa. Buckeyes just picked up a first down near midfield. They're up 21-10. On ESPN2, Georgia and Ole Miss. Defensive struggle, scoreless in the 2nd quarter.
All right, Reese, thanks very much. It's 21-7 here. And Mike Hart has now gone over 100 yards. And when he does that, his team has been 12-1 in his career. The only loss, guess what? Last year against Minnesota. Gained 100 yards, and they lost it anyway. Breston on that little 2-man flanker screen that they like so much. Had Arrington out in front of him as a blocker, and Dominic Jones made the tackle.
This team has a lot of weapons. I mean, you know, they've got Mike Hart running it, who's dependable. They got Chad Henne, who's a 3-year starter, who is playing with great confidence, field general. They've got dangerous weapons on the outside in Manningham and Breston, and now Arrington coming into his own. Very difficult team to defend right now.
Good fake by Henne. Steps up from the pressure, hit, throws it away. Now he got it past the line of scrimmage, and he was out of the pocket.
Right.
Good decision by Henne. Doesn't have to have a receiver out there, just has to get the ball past the line of scrimmage. You quarterbacks know all the rules.
Well, that's a good rule. I mean, that's a relatively new rule that you can throw it away like that as long as you are outside the tackle box.
That was 2nd and 1, almost a free play, and now Hart will get the first down and breaks it to the outside. Jones chasing him. Hart finally dragged down at the 32-yard line.
Well, did you see how he switched the ball back to his outside arm, too? There's so many young backs that don't do that anymore. You always want to keep the football in your outside arm away from the defenders. Watch Mike Hart as he cuts this back on the zone play. The ball's in his left arm. Now, as he breaks up in the open field, he's going to switch it instinctively to his right arm to keep it away from the defense. Stiff arms with the left, protects the ball with his right. Heads up running by Mike Hart.
And he has 122 yards on the night. It's a huge series for the Minnesota defense. Hart hit, got away, comes back, and dives into the dirt portion of the field for a gain of 1. Should have lost 3 or 4, and Tremaine Banks came up from the corner to get him. Hart came into this game number 1 in the Big Ten, number 9 in the country in rushing, and has gone over his season's average at 123 yards tonight.
The only game that he did not run for over 100 yards was last week, only 91 yards against Wisconsin. The Badgers really geared up to stopping the run.
Grady comes in to give him a breather. Henne all day to throw. And now throws it incomplete. That's going to be a holding call in the backfield. And it looked like Reuben Riley, the right tackle, had a big handful of red jersey. And he did. Now Reese Davis. Reese?
Mike, USC at Washington State getting challenged, but maybe the Trojans have found a little breathing room. John David Booty to Steve Smith. His second touchdown catch in the absence of Dwayne Jarrett, who has an injured shoulder. 28-15 in the fourth.
All right, thanks, Reese. Booty's pretty good, isn't he?
He is good. He's got a lot of poise. Been in the program 4 years. First time he's been the starter. But he's not playing like a first-time starter.
No, he isn't.
And he's playing without his go-to guy in Dwayne Jarrett right now.
2nd and 19 after the holding penalty. Hart goes underneath to Preston, and Preston is covered immediately by Harris, who's been burned a couple of times tonight. Take a look at our ESPNU All-State Standings review this week. And it's Ohio State in the battle with Iowa, number 1. Auburn in a brilliant game Thursday night. Beat South Carolina. Never saw anything like it when they had the ball an entire quarter. USC playing at Washington State in a close one. West Virginia was idle. Florida beat Alabama in a big ball game for the Gators. Michigan playing right here. Texas, Louisville had a bye. LSU with a win. Georgia playing at Mississippi.
LSU will play Florida next week in Gainesville. Big game in the SEC.
Henne with plenty of time. Manningham. He's hit him in stride every time, hasn't he?
Well, and that's 2 times now we have seen Jamal Harris, number 15, go underneath the throw and try to make a deflection and come up short. One was a touchdown to Manningham, and here's another one. Watch, he's the underneath cover right there, number 15. Now he sees the ball and he jumps, but the ball still goes over his hand. Rather than making more ground to catch up to the receiver, he tries to jump. The ball is lifted right over his hands and right into the waiting arms of Manningham. Beautiful throw by Henne, but a misplayed ball for the second time tonight by Jamal Harris.
5 catches, 131 yards from Manningham. Hart swarmed under at the 3. Manningham against Notre Dame. He's already been the National Player of the Week once. 4 catches, 137 yards, and 3 touchdowns in that rout of the Irish, and he is turning in a similar performance tonight.
Last week, 7 for 139, 3 touchdowns, back-to-back Big Ten Player of the Week. Not bad.
No, not bad. And he might get a third one. It's going to be the end of the third quarter. Michigan by 14 and driving. ESPN's College Football Primetime is broadcast in high definition and presented by Pioneer Plasma Displays. Ready to start the fourth quarter. You have to hand it to the Michigan offensive line.
Yeah.
And that zone blocking scheme, they come off the ball together. Sometimes it looks just like one of those big road graders moving everything in their wake.
It's not complex. I mean, they don't do a lot of tricky things offensively, but they've become very proficient at it. They take good steps. They come off the ball in unison. And Mike Hart has excellent vision and balance to run behind him.
Henne. Out of bounds. Intended for Arrington. Good coverage by Harris. And they look like they were hand fighting all the way.
Well, Jamal Harris has had some problems tonight in man-to-man coverage, this time in good position, and he knows that he's got the sideline as an extra defender. So if he keeps working the wide receiver to the sideline, even if Arrington comes down with the football, he'll be out of bounds. Harris knew where the sideline was. Good job with his hands and his body, and that's the way you play defense in the end zone.
Arrington at 6'3", pretty good target for the fade. Yep. Now it's 3rd and goal. Hart swarmed under. He didn't think he went down, tried to get him back up and run again, but not this time. And it was Steve Davis, number 92, who played a lot as a true freshman a year ago and is their best defensive lineman.
Well, Steve Davis is not a very big guy, number 92. He's going to do a good job of fighting off the block from the tight end. Nice job, Mike Massey trying to block him.
So they will settle for a 22-yard field goal try. Garrett Rivas had one blocked this year.
Whoa.
And he missed
Thank you very
it.
much.
Looked like a snap hook into the woods.
Boy, what a turn of events. I mean, this looked like was going to be an easy touchdown for Michigan after the pass to Manningham. A couple of big stops by the Minnesota defense. And now a duck hook left by Rivas.
So Minnesota still within 2 scores. And he pulled that one from the get-go. Penix hit at the line, then pushed back. Minnesota starting to dominate up front. Let's go to Reese.
Mike, Ohio State showing why it is #1. The kids would call a move like this sick. Troy Smith to Anthony Gonzalez. Try it one way. Whoop. And watch Gonzalez turn on the jets. Weaving back, using that speed to score. The Buckeyes on top and in control, 28-10 over Iowa.
That was some run after the catch. That ball was released by Cupido about 3 seconds before the receiver made his cut, and there's a flag down on the play. Did they rough Cupido? No, it's a hold.
Michigan is, I mean, they are really starting to assert themselves on the line of scrimmage. In the run game, the defensive linemen are kind of holding their ground, and the linebackers are flying through to make plays.
This will back them up to the 10.
So the only way for Minnesota to be effective in their offense is to be very good on first down. In the last several first down plays, Minnesota has not been able to do much against this Michigan defense. First half, they had 148 yards of offense. This half, only 29.
And they are lined up to come after Cupido. Penix. He's a very patient runner.
Yeah.
He finds the little seams, picks up an extra yard here and there. Michigan came in with that heralded run defense, 18.5 yards a ball game, less than a yard a carry, #1 in the NCAA. Minnesota second in the Big Ten, and they've got 91 so far. It's a far cry from their average, but a far cry from Michigan's defensive average. And taken out of bounds this time is Logan Payne, who has had a big ball game. And Engelman will get credit for the tackle, but it's going to be fourth. They'll have to kick it away.
The thing you got to keep in mind, too, even though Michigan has given up 91 yards rushing, this Minnesota team ran for 264 against them last year. In 2003, they ran for 424. So, I mean, this is a dramatically improved run defense of the Michigan Wolverines.
Low returnable kick. Breaston takes it, but excellent coverage by Minnesota. They have won that battle tonight, the battle of special teams. The Little Brown Jug has been around since 1903. Last year it was treated like never before, and we'll tell you about that when we come back. A lot of Michigan fans made the trip and expressing their sentiments with this sign for the Little Brown Jug. It was originally left by the Michigan coaching staff at a game at Minnesota. Michigan asked for it back. Minnesota told them they had to win it back. It's the 88th battle for that trophy, and it's the oldest trophy game in college football. It is not a little brown jug. It's a big brown jug, and you fill that puppy with water, and you need a big kid to carry it.
Yeah, big, heavy brown jug.
Yes. And the way the players yank it around after a game, I don't know how it survived this long. Hart. Nice cutback. Let's go to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, guys, after the win last year, Minnesota had the jug with them at the airport. Glenn Mason was giving a speech to the band and the fans that met them at the airport, and when everybody left, it was just him and the jug. So he took it to the car. He actually put it in the front seat and put the seat belt around it. He called his wife and said, hey, let's meet for dinner. So when they got to the restaurant, he didn't know what to do with the jug. The valet said, you know, you better take it in. What if it gets stolen? So Mason took the jug into the restaurant. The place went nuts. May have been one of the funniest places the jug has been.
Holly, when he told us that story, it was about a 5-minute version of what you just presented, and it was hilarious. I mean, Glenn Mason is a great storyteller. He was very entertaining the other day. Good guy.
I thought one of the funniest things was when before they won last year, and they asked him, you know, what he thought about the Little Brown Jug. He says, I don't know, I've never seen it. You know, they went 16 games in a row that Michigan won before last year.
Man, he's only been here 10.
I don't even know what it looks like.
But he has done a heck of a job in that span, taking him to 6 bowl games out of his 9 completed seasons. Grady is in at tailback. A chance to carry the ball a little bit, and they're really wearing down this defense. Let's go to Reese Davis. Reese?
Mike, the primetime pulse, keeping up with the games on the other members of the family of networks. Ohio State in control against Iowa on ABC late in the third, and Georgia's quarterback play struggling again. Ole Miss has turned a blocked punt into a field goal. They're up 3-0 on ESPN2.
How about that? That's
special teams breakdowns for Georgia. It sounded like they had a block punt called back because of a penalty. That would have been the second one in the ball game now.
Minor with a chance to run the ball at tailback. And this will bring up a 3rd down.
Well, I know that earlier in the game, Logan Payne was encouraging his teammates that Michigan's not that good. But I think Michigan is that good. I really do. I'm very impressed with what they look like.
I think that was an emotional evaluation.
Yeah, absolutely, and trying to encourage his teammates. But this Michigan team is as good as advertised. Offensive line solid, quarterback play solid, weapons on the outside. Mike Hart as good as you'll find at the tailback, and defense led by 7 seniors, fast, physical, very impressive.
Grady is in there on 3rd and 3, but Henne wants to throw for it, and off the hands of Manningham. You know, he's had a little trouble when he's been in traffic, but it's hard to keep him in that situation.
Yeah. Well, no more single coverage for Mario Manningham. I mean, he's got corners underneath, safeties coming over the top. That ball a little bit high and hard by Henne. And a rare punt situation for Michigan.
Mesko is on to punt to Jones. High floating kick. Jones throws a block, trying to get a chance for that ball to kick into the end zone, but it won't. Dies the 733-yard punt. Turner Booth, the snapper, made the down.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Chevrolet, America's brand. Chevy, an American revolution. And the ESPN Total Access Visa Card. You spend, you score.
This is Minnesota's Hall of Tradition on campus at the Gibson-Nagurski Football Complex. Among the displays, 5 Pro Football Hall of Famers, including Bronco Nagurski, Bud Grant, and Bobby Bell. And Bobby Bell was from that group of middle linebackers when middle linebackers dominated football. And he was a great, great player. He and Nitschke and Butkus and Huff. And this pass is incomplete, intended for Wheelwright. And we have a red zone alert on Ohio State and Iowa. I think all of us thought this game was going to be a little closer than it was. It's 28-10 right now, and Ohio State driving to put it away. That game is on ABC. .9:37 to go in this game. And Michigan has dominated, even though they are only up by 14 points. Cupido short set and goes to Spaeth. Spaeth hasn't had a lot of action tonight. That's only his second catch.
That was a nice read by Cupido, though, because Michigan came with a corner blitz. Leon Hall was coming from Cupido's left, and he reads the blitz and gets rid of the ball quickly to his tight end Spaeth. Spaeth is a big physical guy. He's a converted defensive end. Played behind Ben Utecht and has taken his place. Can catch the ball and moves very well, but a devastating blocker in this run game.
Only needs 5 more catches to pass Utecht in his record. And this pass behind Eric Decker. Check in with Reese, SportsCenter 30 at 30.
All right, Mike, the baseball playoff picture is clearing up in the National League. The Padres and the Dodgers are in the playoffs. Padres' magic number is 1 to go in as division champs. Cardinals' magic number is 1 in the National League Central. The Titans pick Vince Young as their starting quarterback against the Cowboys on Sunday. Gets his first career start trying to spark Tennessee. SportsCenter after the game, ESPN News all the time.
Okay, Reese, we have a 2nd and 10 here. Minnesota really that desperation stage where they have to be able to move the ball somehow. Cupido with time, flushed by the pressure, and throws it into the ground.
And then he's thrown into the ground by the 335-pound Branch, and that, man, that's rough. I mean, you know, Cupido has nowhere to go, so he's throwing it away. And then Branch lands on top of him on this turf, and that hurts. I'll guarantee you that hurts.
That should be a penalty. That's too late. They do not protect quarterbacks in college the way they do in the pros, but that's too late.
This Michigan defense has really played well in the second half.
Just off the hands of Decker.
Now that's the second time in this series where a ball has been thrown to Decker, and for whatever reason, Cupido has thrown it before Decker's getting his head around to find it. I mean, he gets his eyes around late. He still almost makes the catch, but a little bit late getting his head and eyes around to know that the ball's coming to him. It happened on the sideline a little earlier on a comeback pattern.
Breaston says get away with it on the short kick, and it takes a Michigan bounce, goes straight back toward the Minnesota goal line. The kick only 21 yards. 9:37 to go in the ball game. Or check it, 8:48. And it's Michigan with a 2-touchdown lead. Henny has made the big plays. He made great throws on deep balls. He's been very accurate. Minnesota has been unable to put a lot of pressure on him. And the running game has been exactly what you would expect from Mike Hart. Been consistently good. Henny on a play fake. Throws to his tight end Massey.
Well, very businesslike for Michigan. They came in late. They got into Minneapolis late on Friday night for this night game. About 8:30, I think they arrived at their hotel. I don't think Lloyd Carr particularly likes playing night games, but took the approach of do a little extra work at home, come in late, treat it like a business trip. Let's come in and take care of business, and they've done that here pretty well.
Yes, they have. Hart again. Got maybe a yard as Steve Davis made the tackle. Let's go to Reese.
Mike, number 3 USC in danger of losing against Washington State. This the last gasp effort. Alex Brink putting it toward the end zone, and the freshman Taylor Mays saves the Trojans. They've won 25 in a row in the Pac-10 now, 28-22 the final.
I'm sure that's much closer than the Southern California fans had expected. 3rd and 7. Henny with time. Hart. Great cut to get away from the defender. There is a flag down back of the 45-yard line. This could be a hold.
Incidental face mask. Number 91 on the defense. Over half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, Mike Hart is right here. He's going to go out of the backfield in motion, and when he gets out there, he's going to be picked up by a linebacker, Mario Reese. Well, Mario Reese not used to playing too much out in space on a guy like Mike Hart. He gives him kind of a soft cushion, and a nice job by Mike Hart coming underneath for the football and then going back outside for extra yardage. There's the incidental face mask at the end of that play. Van de Steeg.
I thought Van de Steeg was being held on his pursuit of the quarterback, but apparently not. And now it'll be 1st and goal. Grady, no place to go on the left side. He cuts back, gets near the 1. And Michigan in the process of finishing this one off.
Yeah. Well, they're wearing down the Minnesota defense. Defensively, they have really clamped down on the Minnesota offense. Ever since Minnesota scored a touchdown, every possession since then, 5 in a row, have ended in a punt. So no offense for the Gophers here in the second half. And now the size and strength of this Michigan offensive line really taking its toll.
Grady spun to the goal line, touchdown. So the sophomore gets his 3rd rushing touchdown of the year.
Well, take a look at this surge coming off. trying to keep leverage, get to the second level, and just good spinning by Grady. You know, instinctively when he got that first contact to spin back to the inside. A little bit of a fatigue factor with the Minnesota defense, not wrapping up on the tackles, and Grady gets in the end zone.
You can understand that this defense has gotten tired. They have been on the field a long, long time against a very big and very talented team of Michigan Wolverines. Monday Night Football, and Brett Favre and the Packers will try to even their record. And there is Grady, who got the touchdown on a 1-yard run, his third on the ground of the season. Hart had a 31-yard catch. That was the big play in that drive. And here comes Jones on the return. Cut down as he got to the 16-yard line. And with 5:17 to go in the ball game, Minnesota will start from there. Now here's today's Good Hands flashback presented by Allstate. We'll take you back to 1990. Minnesota against number 16 Michigan. Desmond Howard with a spectacular catch. Michigan would go on to win it 35-18, and Desmond Howard won the Heisman Trophy the following year. He made as many electric catches in college as anybody who's ever played.
Sure did.
Cupido throws, and it's incomplete, intended for Spaeth, and he was covered very well by Prescott Burgess.
Well, you just feel this Michigan defense now. I mean, really the entire second half they have asserted themselves. They have shut down the Minnesota running game. They do not feel threatened deep at all by the wide receivers of Minnesota, so they don't feel, you know, that anybody's going to run by them. And they have just really flexed their muscles here in the second half, proving why they were and are one of the best defenses in all of college football.
Cupido gets that one out, and it's complete. Chambers makes his first grab. It's only his 6th of the year. Good throw that time by Cupido.
Well, so far today, the Michigan defense. We talked about Ron English, the new coordinator. His mantra from day one has been run to the football. Get blue hats to the football. And we've seen that tonight. Speed and athleticism, it really starts up front. Those two tackles, Alan Branch and Terrence Taylor, are such hard guys to move on the inside, and the linebackers can all run.
Intended for Payne, and it's incomplete. Talking to Ron English on the phone on our conference call the other day. Ron's certainly a man of few words, isn't he? He's going to tell you exactly what's going on.
Well, I think he was trying to eat his dinner also while he was talking to us, because we caught him at about 6:45 after practice. I think he had a little bit of food, and and he wanted to get in and off the phone. He didn't want to be on the phone too long, which I understand. Probably had a whole night of work ahead of him.
Cupido sitting in the pocket down the middle, and it's Logan. Logan Payne with another catch. You got to like this kid.
Yeah, well, I do. From Land O'Lakes, Florida high school, was a good friend and teammate of Drew Weatherford, the quarterback at Florida State. Didn't even play football till his sophomore year, but he has really emerged as an outstanding receiver. And Ron English, who is the safeties coach as well as the defensive coordinator, not liking seeing the wide receiver running right through the middle of his defense.
Cupido straight back again. Penix threw him a good block.
That's
contact at the 2, and there's the flag. Charles Stewart got a push as the pass was intended for Decker, and that'll cost him for 15.
Decker looking for the call. This time got it. And clearly a push with the right arm of Stewart. And all of a sudden, after we do the little highlight package on the Michigan defense, the Minnesota offense goes right down the field. Prior to this drive, Minnesota was in a lot of danger of having the only the second game in the last 44 that they'd been held under 300 yards of total offense. They were at 205 before this drive started. Right now at 253 and counting.
Payne breaks a tackle, touchdown.
This guy's good.
Yes, he is.
He's good.
That's his 6th catch, 25 for the year. In fact, he has now gone 4 straight games with 6 catches each.
You know, he's not a real speed guy necessarily, but that time Charles Stewart gave him such a big cushion out there that Stewart wasn't able to come up and make the tackle.
Good after the catch. He obviously has outstanding hands. Giannini with a point after. 5-play drive that went 84 yards, Reese Davis.
Mike, Kansas hadn't beaten Nebraska since 1968 until last year. Had won in Lincoln since 68 and trying to do it this year, down 32-25 to the Huskers. Adam Barman, Brian Murph gets in, and we're 4 ticks away from overtime. And coming up next week for the Huskers, Iowa State, who had to rally and survive against Northern Iowa by 1.
Jeez, the Nebraska game's a little scary for them at home.
Let's go back to the touchdown. Logan Payne, again, his 6th catch of the night. It's single coverage out here. And watch as the 3-step drop happens. I mean, that's too big of a cushion to give a guy. And so when Payne makes the catch, Stewart comes up, he gets stiff arm, can't make the tackle, and Logan Payne takes it to the end zone. He's had a very nice ball game.
Minnesota set up for the onside kick.
Saw an interesting onside kick in the Rutgers South Florida game the other night. Very close to being a recovery.
Giannini gets that bounce loose.
That was hit by Michigan, so it'll belong to Minnesota.
It didn't have to go 10
That's
yards.
right.
Touched by the receiving team. It's a free ball.
I don't know if that was Leon Hall who tried to recover it or Breston.
Dominique Barber was the man who made the recovery, and Minnesota will get the ball back with 4:08.
Now, normally, if you're kicking it, you're waiting for that high bounce. Stevie Breston, number 15, is going to go across the line and then hesitates. I think he got caught in between. Should I try to recover it or not? And the ball hit him in the leg, and Minnesota recovered.
Blitz coming. Cubido on the post. Spate the tight end.
Wow. What a throw and catch.
Hello.
Blitz pickup. Excellent by Minnesota's up front. And Spate, single coverage on the safety Monday. Here's Spate running the post on the safety. Nice route, perfectly timed throw by Cupido. And credit that offensive line in the backs for picking up the blitz.
You think Ron English was upset on the last series?
Oh, my goodness.
Going to be beside himself on this one.
You know what? In 2003, Minnesota had this game in hand. And Michigan came back and scored 31 points in the 4th quarter to win the game. 38-35. They were down 28-7 in the 4th quarter before they mounted their comeback.
I'm not sure why they're explaining this whatever situation they're talking about to Lloyd Carr. We have not been informed what this might be about.
We have an official's timeout on the field. We need to check clock status.
If you weren't with us at the beginning of the ball game, the clock was not working at the very beginning of the ball game. It was being kept on the field. And then we got the clock back at some point during this game. I'm a little surprised that Michigan hasn't been able to get more pressure on Cupido, because when he threw earlier, they did get some pressure on him.
I don't know if there's just been a little bit of a complacency that's come over the Michigan defense or what, but obviously Minnesota has not quit in this ball game. And Brian Cupido, who started out pretty well and then started to struggle a little bit when Michigan's defense really was asserting themselves here in the last couple possessions, has gotten hot again.
Well, it's a natural thing. You're up 28-7. There's only a few minutes to go in the game. It looks like you got it once, so you let down a little bit.
I think it is a natural thing, even though this is a veteran team. And then that's what Ron English, I'm sure, is telling his guys, hey, look, you seniors, we got to pick it up here now. We've got to stop this. What's going on? But Minnesota, give them credit, still fighting in this ball game.
One of the odd things about intensity, if you do lose it, it's extremely difficult to get it back, if not impossible.
Yep, it's real hard to get back.
Still checking on the clock. Well, while we have a chance, let's go to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, you know, Brian Cupido, the quarterback from Minnesota, said earlier this week, let's go back upstairs, Mike.
The clock was at 4:12. Following the first play, we're at 4:04. The game clock is correct.
Sorry about that, Mike, but Brian Cupido said this week that he knows Michigan is more talented. They have all the studs. He said, we are outmanned, but there's one thing that you can count on from Minnesota. We won't quit. You're seeing that here in the fourth quarter, and even if they don't come back and win this game, guys, we've seen them put up a good fighting show.
Holly, you're right, and they said one of the things they do is they get tough guys to come to Minnesota. Penix made 2 guys miss and picks up 7. That's a tough run.
Yep. Well, the problem for Minnesota is the clock is definitely working against them right now. 3:40 and counting. They need 2 scores, 2 touchdowns.
4-man rush. Cupido unloads, and Spaeth, the tight end, makes the catch. That'll be a first down at the 19-yard line. 4 grabs for Spaeth.
They have all 3 of their timeouts left, but they do need to score 2 touchdowns. And the clock stops while they move the chains. But Brian Cupido really has to get them up to the line of scrimmage and ready to go. Conserve as much time as possible.
Out of the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. But he's getting rid of that ball before they have a chance to do anything. Ernie Wheelwright made the catch, picks up about 9. I mean, as soon as the ball hits his hands, he's chucking it.
Yeah, I really think that there is a complacency that came over this Michigan defense somewhere along the lines, and they just don't have the same surge that they had. They're not getting to the quarterback. Cupido's doing a nice job of getting it out of his hands. There's big cushion by the cornerbacks.
And it will be 1st and goal.
That was a big first down. Well, we still got clock problems, though. I can't tell how much time's left. The clock just changed from 9:51 to 3:20. So,
long play.
Yeah.
3:20.
So we're back to 3:20. That is correct. That's what's up on the scoreboard. Cupido again throws the out, but Payne kept going.
Little miscommunication there. The only good thing, it was first down and it stops the clock now. Now they can get in the huddle, get a play called here.
Very fortunate that corner was not peeking in, or he had a chance to go 105 yards. Numbers on Cupido, they're mounting, and the biggest portion is right now. Under center on 2nd and goal. Sets, he throws the fade to the corner of the end zone, and it is out of bounds. Logan Payne went up and could not apparently get the feet down at the sideline. Holy cow, was that close.
Boy, we've seen a couple beautiful throws by Cupido on the fade. Here's the throw. Foot out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
Yep, right foot hit out of bounds before the left foot hit inbounds. Nice catch. Right foot down out of bounds, left foot down inbounds.
And there is no such thing as a force out in college football. You push a guy out of bounds, he's out of bounds. 3rd and goal, obviously 4-down territory. Cupido over the middle, too high, incomplete.
Nice coverage by David Harris, looking for Spaeth, the big tight end in the middle of the field, singled up in coverage by the middle linebacker, the leading tackler, the emotional leader of this defense. And all of a sudden now we're down to 4th down.
And this will obviously be the play of the game so far. You score, you're down 1 touchdown. You don't, you're down 2 with 3 minutes left. Cupido under pressure. Out of bounds.
There is a flag down in the end zone, though. And this might be a huge break for Minnesota because Cupido really had nowhere to go with the football.
Pass interference offense, number 84. Penalties decline. Ball turns over. First down, Michigan.
Oh, and the Minnesota coaching staff thought they had caught a break, but they will call offensive interference on Logan Payne.
And Logan Payne doesn't look like he's complaining too much either. I don't know. The Minnesota coaching staff wanted pass interference on the 3rd down play on Spade.
Well, they had 4 shots inside the 10.
Here's Logan Payne in the slot right here, and Cupido is forced a little bit wider than he wanted to. They're setting up. He's trying to throw it quick. It's not open quick. Wow, he does have a guy right here, though, but Cupido not able to find him as he was being flushed out of the pocket. That was Chambers, who was open.
And you can see what Logan Payne did. He sort of moved to the right and banged the guy who was going man on man against the other receiver, and that is offensive interference. That's a pick, and that's a good call by the officials. They're not going to be able to complain about that after they see the film. Let's check in with Reese.
All right, Mike, the prime time pulse. Iowa trying to close in on Ohio State, 31-17 on a Drew Tate touchdown pass. Still a lot of time to go on ABC. On ESPN2, Georgia still unable to muster any kind of offense thus far. Still early in the 3rd quarter, but right now, Dogs on a march. They're inside the 10-yard line, down 3-0 to Ole Miss. And, of course, our game 28-14 will get you up to date on everything on College Football Final, powered by Pontiac. That's at midnight Eastern Time after SportsCenter.
All right, thanks, Reese. A lot of stuff going on. Minnesota has used the first of its 3 timeouts. So barring a first down, they'll definitely get the ball back. But they needed that touchdown, so the 3 timeouts would set them up for a potential tying score. Take a look at what Michigan has left. If they win this game, they're 5-0. Michigan State, which collapsed today, then at Penn State, which is never going to be easy. Then they have to face Iowa. And then a pretty good run with Northwestern, Ball State, and Indiana before they have to play at Ohio State in a game that could decide an awful lot. Like who goes to a national championship game? Trying to stay in bounds.
Nice job.
Doing it. Yes, it was.
Very smart player. One of the things Lloyd Carr said about him. Very, very intelligent player. Forced Minnesota to use another timeout by staying in bounds.
This blocking scheme is something that a lot of people have become familiar with because of the Denver Broncos. And it requires a back, the way they coach it, just to make one cut and go. Don't fool around. Don't be dancing anywhere. Just see where that lane is and go. And it always seems to produce big yardage for no matter who the back is. Next Saturday, ESPN will have 2 great college football rivalry games. First at 4:30 Eastern, Michigan against Michigan State at the Big House, and at 7:45, SEC East rivals collide when the Tennessee Volunteers head to Georgia for a meeting with the Bulldogs. I think we'll be there. We might enjoy that one. College football presented by Cars.com and college football primetime on ESPN next, what does that say? Thursday? Saturday? Saturday on ESPN. College football lives here. And there's the jug. Jay Nance, the equipment manager, will bring it out. The winning team gets to claim it when the game is over. And right now, Michigan 2-17 away from doing just that. Face a 3rd and 3. Hart off that left side again. He's lived over there. Hart breaks it. Needs one block to go.
Look at Manningham running downfield. Arrington, wide receivers blocking downfield.
And Hart, so smart, stayed in bounds instead of trying for extra yardage, which would have gotten him out of bounds. He picked up 54 on that one to ice it.
Well, Minnesota just trying to get a stop. They do a great job of sealing the outside. Again, that was the tight end, Massey. And then Mike Hart showing that vision. Open field running, and as you mentioned, staying in bounds. Once he got all 54 of it, get down.
Look at Mitchell and Riley and Beal. And Mitchell comes up gimpy. Riley and Beal were hustling on that play, downfield, trying to throw blocks.
Yep.
And now Hart has picked up 195 yards on 31 carries.
One of the things that Lloyd Carr said, we talked about that, he looked at his whole program last year at the end of the season. Where do we need to make improvements? What do we need to do to change? They were 9th in the Big Ten in rushing last year, 161 yards a game. Very un-Michigan-like.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons he said, I think our offensive line, we need to lose some weight. We need to be more athletic. We need to make a commitment to the running game. He brought Mike DeBoard in as the coordinator, said, hey, let's go ahead and put this zone blocking scheme in. And I think you can see the dividends. I mean, Mike Hart is healthy. This line looks like they like this blocking scheme and sets everything else up.
Certainly been a raging success so far. Kevin Grady with a couple. The game for the Little Brown Jug, only a minute and 31 seconds left. And Michigan, in spite of a pretty good performance by the Golden Gophers of Minnesota, has the game in hand now, 28-14. They scored first. Got one big break in this ball game when Michigan scored after faking a couple of reverses, then throwing a pass for a touchdown, was called back because of a penalty. That would have cut it to a one-touchdown score and made it really interesting.
Well, all season the Michigan defense has played solid. Tonight the Michigan offense has carried their end of it for sure. Mike Hart carrying the load. Chad Henne very hot throwing the football. 3 touchdowns in the first half. Mario Manningham, Adrian Arrington. This has just been a display of weapons for the Michigan offense, and it all starts with that offensive line being able to control things up front. They're your impact players for Michigan tonight. Henne, good night, solid night. Didn't make, I don't know that he made any bad throws. Threw 3 interceptions last week. Nothing even close to an interception tonight. Mike Hart nearly 200 yards, and of course Manningham.
Only 1:31 to go. Now they just keep it on the ground and work on the clock. And that's Carlos Brown, a freshman, getting only his 5th carry of the season. Wolverine with a broken front paw.
You know, it's just kind of hard to, you know, in football, a lot of times you talk about returning starters, and I think that's really overrated. You know, if a team, you say, well, they have 17 starters coming back. Well, you know, if a team was 7-5 and a lot of those guys that started didn't play that well, that's not always great news.
Exactly.
But every team from year to year changes their chemistry. So even a team that was 11-0 that brings back 17 starters, that doesn't mean the next year they're going to be just the same. This team, a much, much better chemistry than a year ago.
SportsCenter coming up with Scott Van Pelt and Neil Everett. Our top 25 upset watch. National League hunt for October. We'll update you on all the standings. And Terrell Owens against Vince Young. Not unless T.O. is going to play defense. But T.O. is supposed to get in that game, and Vince Young will be making his first start. This should be the last play of the game. And now Michigan will lay claim to the Little Brown Jug, the trophy they held for 16 straight games in this series and lost last year in Ann Arbor. And everybody's coming to get it.
Arm in arm. This team has a new attitude, a new personality, a new temperament. Very businesslike tonight. And very impressive.
They remain undefeated at 5-0. Of course, their signature win this year was the mangling of Notre Dame when they won it 47-21. And now they've got the Jug back. They earned it. 28-14 the final. The Jug will go back to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Our final score, Michigan 28, Minnesota 14. Sports Center is next. Over on ESPN News, the post-game extra. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our entire ESPN crew who had to switch with the field in the change from baseball today, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from Minneapolis.